There are warnings engraved on the walls of the cave we've discovered. My friends and I had been on an abandoned hiking trail when we stumbled across a dome-shaped rock in the heart of the woods. I was busy examining it when Jay noticed an entrance to a cave and decided that checking it out was way more interesting than returning to our camp.
Doesn't look like anybody's been down here in a very long time,
he said after crawling through the narrow entrance and making it through to the other side. The warnings were the first thing I saw when I crawled through the tiny entrance that led to the cave.
Hey guys! Check it out! It's a map!
Sam called out, snapping me out of my trance. Jay and I walked over to take a look. We shone our light on the wall she was standing in front of.
It looks like a map of the cave,
Sam said, kneeling to take her cell phone from her backpack. The flash from the camera lit up the entire cave wall, revealing how cramped the cave really was. Why did you do that? I asked her.
so we will have a copy of the map.
Jay replied for her.
Don't you want to know where it leads? My guess is to some lost treasure.
Jay said with a noticeable twinkle in his eyes. I glanced at the warnings on the wall of the caves and wondered why anybody who went to great lengths to hide a treasure would bother leaving a map showing its location. If there is a treasure, they may not want it to be found. I turned to face Jay.
Well, what the hell are we waiting for?
Jay smirks and Sam hands him the cell phone and motions for him to lead the way. Jay smiles and starts heading deep into the caves, Sam following closely behind him. A little feeling of unease settles over me just as I turn to catch up with them, although I can't place why. It could be the nervousness of being in an enclosed place for too long. But if there is a treasure to be found, I'm definitely taking advantage of it. Jay studies the map carefully, then climbs through a narrow rock formation that's supposed to lead us to an open space. As I grab onto one of the rocks, I suddenly feel we're being watched. I know it's not possible since we're the only ones here. It takes us about 45 minutes to climb through the rock tunnel, and I can't shake off that feeling of being watched. I begin to feel a lot more uneasy about it and glance over my shoulder, pointing the torch in the direction we came from. There's nothing there, I told myself.
Dan?
Sam calls out, flashing a light beam in my eye.
What are you looking for?
Her voice echoes, giving it a disturbing tone. If I'm not mistaken, I can hear a hint of concern in her voice. And I know it's not just for my safety. I shake my head and try to keep moving. But Sam doesn't move an inch, and the space is too narrow for me to squeeze past her.
It's nothing, Sam. Keep moving. Do you feel it too?
She sounds a bit worried.
Feel what?
I asked, sounding annoyed. A part of me doesn't want to know what she's talking about.
I feel like something's following us. Ever since we took the picture of that damn map.
That's a load of crap.
Jay's voice cuts in. It has that same echo that gave me the chills. He flicks his torch from me to Sam.
Let's keep moving.
Sam nods and says nothing else, thankfully. I don't want to think about being watched by something we can't see. Or worse, being followed. Whatever is at the end of the damn map. I hope it's worth this trouble. We emerge into a larger space with large boulders about 5 feet below, surrounding a small body of water. Jay assesses the terrain and smiles.
Thank God we can get around that.
He says.
Be careful.
I warn as he climbs onto a large rock below us. Jay gives me a thumbs up, sliding down carefully onto the next rock. Although the boulders are large, they look easy to navigate, with flatter surfaces. Sam follows Jay, but just as she reaches the next rock, she misses a step and almost falls into the water.
Sam!
My scream is instinctive, and I feel my heart pounding. Thankfully, Jay quickly grabs her and steadies her. We all start to laugh when suddenly, we feel the vibration that rocks the entire cave and almost sends Jay and Sam plummeting into the water.
Dan! Get the hell down here!
Jay screams just as I feel small rocks hit the back of my legs. I quickly jump and stare in horror as several heavy stones roll down the tunnel we've just come through. Many plunge right into the water, while most stop just short of the entrance, blocking our way out.
We have to keep moving. There's another way out.
Jay says before we begin to panic.
How can you be so sure?
Sam's voice is filled with the panic I feel.
It's on the map.
Jay says and jumps onto the next rock. Sam and I exchange worried glances, but neither of us protests. We follow after Jay, who only occasionally stops to study the map. Jay stops just short of what looks like a dead end and sighs.
It's a dead end.
I point out. He shakes his head.
Not according to the map.
He says.
There's supposed to be a way through here.
He drops his backpack, picks up a large stone, and smashes it against the wall. The ground beneath us vibrates, and we hear a deep, groaning sound.
What the hell are you doing?
Sam screams. Jay ignores her and keeps hitting the wall till it begins to break off. I see the first sign of a crawl space, and I quickly pick up a rock to join him. Suddenly, a horrible smell wafts across our noses, and we pause, looking around to figure out where it's coming from.
Must be coming from the other side.
Jay says, and he continues breaking the wall. I help, but I'm distracted by the groaning sound again. It seems to fill the entire cave as the smell gets stronger. It's almost as if something is living and breathing in the water, and the thought chilled me. I hurriedly rejoin Jay in breaking the wall, and we both jump back as a large piece of the cave walls breaks off. We're staring down a long, narrow tunnel that seems to curve to the left. Jay quickly climbs in head first, and I go next, eager to escape the smell that seems to fill every part of me. It's like something dead and rotten, only 10 times worse. And that god-awful sound. We crawl through for what feels like an hour, with me following closely behind Jay when he suddenly stops.
Good Lord!
Jay exclaims, sounding like he's seen a ghost. I can feel my heart pounding in my chest as he remains frozen. It's not like we can turn back now.
Jay? What's going on?
I ask, alarmed. I could hear Jay chuckling now. He doesn't respond, but he keeps moving and emerges from the other end of the crawl space. That's when I see it. The most beautiful sight I've ever seen. I'm also frozen in shock till Sam nudges me. When I crawl out, I'm overwhelmed by the sight of thousands of chests filled with gold and other stones. I can see a golden lake shimmering several meters away, and my heart is ready to give out with happiness. Behind me, Sam lets out a scream of glee while Jay immediately drops to his knees and empties his backpack. It seems too good to be true. I feel drawn to the gold lake and find myself running toward it. I bend over and scoop it in my hands. It is like pure liquid gold. The feeling of ecstasy overwhelms me, and I start to laugh wildly.
We're going to be so freaking rich.
Suddenly, something occurs to me, and my laughter dries up. The distinct rotten smell is back again. And that groaning sound, it's so loud I can almost hear it inside my head. I turn back to mention this to Jay and Sam, but the words freeze in my throat when I see them. There's a dark hooded figure behind Jay stretching its arms towards him. He's too busy stuffing his bag to notice, and Sam doesn't either since she has her head buried in a chest. I try to scream out, but I find that my voice is gone, and I can only watch in horror. My legs feel too heavy to move. The figure wraps its arms around Jay's neck and pulls him into it. Jay struggles to fight, but it's of no use. His body is gradually engulfed inside the black figure until there's nothing left of Jay. The figure turns and moves towards Sam, who is still completely unaware, and it opens its mouth inhumanly wide and latches onto Sam's head, swallowing her whole. I can see the rest of her body jerking as it disappears inch by inch inside the thing. I suddenly drop to the ground. realizing I can move. I quickly get up and run towards the crawl space when I feel wet, bony fingers grab around my ankles and pull me back towards the lake. It pulls me into the lake, and I can feel the liquid gold fill my lungs as every part of my body struggled to free itself from its grip. At one point, I think I almost did. The struggling pursues a few more minutes until my muscles give out. I am tired now. I don't think I can fight anymore. I can no longer breathe. I try to suck in one last gulp of air as my body sinks deep into the lake.